Imagine discovering your husband's been cheating on you for years with men and instead of confronting him, you quietly collect receipts, build a perfect trap, and pull the pin a decade later. She didn't just get even, she ruined his life. You won't believe how calculated her revenge really was. You know those couples you envy? The ones who seem to have it all figured out: the cozy house, two bright kids, shared jokes at dinner, and matching smiles in every holiday card. That was us, or at least, that's what it looked like. I met my husband when I was barely 20. He was charming, smart, and already on a solid career path. By the time we got married, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. He made good money, more than good, really, for a middle-class town like ours in the South. A high earner with ambition, the kind of man everyone said would take care of his family, and he did. From the outside, we were the picture of success. 2 kids, a beautiful home, and regular vacations that made our social media sparkle. I didn't work for years, I didn't need to. We had a cleaning lady, a part-time nanny, spa days when I wanted them, new cars every couple of years, country club lunches with the other wives. It wasn't a fairy tale, no marriage ever is, but it was good, comfortable. I wasn't madly in love anymore, but I loved him. I trusted him. And in return I got stability, sex that was still great even after a decade, and a man who never raised his voice or his hand. He was a good dad, attentive, present, the kind of guy who showed up to soccer games and dance recitals, who remembered birthdays and helped with homework. People used to say he was husband material from the moment he walked into a room, and I believed them. We had inside jokes. I could read his mood just from the way he placed his keys on the kitchen counter. We were a team built on years of understanding and quiet habits. But it's funny how lies can live in silence, right next to love. How secrets can slither their way into the cracks of your home and curl up under your bed at night. I didn't know it then, but I was sleeping beside a man who had never been honest with me. Not once, not even before the wedding. The truth wasn't just some drunken mistake or a one-night slip-up. No, this ran deeper, older, colder. Looking back now, there were signs. But when you trust someone, your brain smooths over the rough edges. You explain away the late meetings, the extra gym sessions, the sudden need for new clothes. You believe the lies because believing the alternative would burn down your world. And I wasn't ready for fire. So I stayed in that beautiful house with the manicured lawn, smiling through neighborhood barbecues and family get-togethers. I wore the necklace he bought me for our 10th anniversary like it meant something. I clapped when he got promoted. I kissed him goodnight and told him I loved him. It was also normal. Except it wasn't. And one careless mistake, a small slip, really would be the spark that lit everything up. I didn't know it yet, but I was about to find out who I was really married to. And once I knew, there was no going back. It happened on a Tuesday. Nothing special about that day, just the usual rhythm of school drop-offs, grocery runs, and planning dinner. The kind of day where you'd never expect your life to split in half. I was doing laundry. My husband had left one of his jackets draped over the back of a chair, so I grabbed it, checked the pockets before throwing it in the wash like I always do. But this time, my fingers brushed against something unexpected. A piece of paper, thick, glossy. I unfolded it, a credit card bill. Except it wasn't for any card I knew about. At first, I thought maybe he got a new one and forgot to mention it. We weren't the couple that shared every detail, but hiding financial stuff, that was new. So I looked closer. The transactions were off. A boutique hotel in a nearby county. Dinner for 2 at an upscale restaurant. More than one purchase at a flower shop. Condoms, lubricant, room service charges. Tips, all on random weeknights when he said he was working late. My stomach dropped. I reread the statement, hoping I'd made a mistake. Maybe these were for a business trip I'd forgotten about. Maybe they were for someone else. But deep down I knew. You just know when your world's about to shift, don't you? Still, I didn't panic. Instead, I filed it away. Literally, I started a folder and slipped the bill inside. Then I did something a lot of people wouldn't. I kept quiet. I didn't confront him. I didn't cry or scream. I didn't even tell a single soul. Because while my heart was starting to crack, something else inside me stirred too, something sharper. I needed more proof, context. The whole ugly truth, so I waited. The next time he said he had to stay late for a meeting, I followed him. I parked down the block from that same hotel listed on the credit card statement, turned off my headlights, and watched. And I saw him. He didn't walk in alone.
He had a man with him, tall, well-dressed. They looked comfortable, familiar, like this wasn't their first time.
I felt the air leave my lungs. This wasn't just cheating. This was planned, repeated, and from the ease of their body language, it had been going on for a long time. That night, I didn't go home angry. I went home awake, wide-eyed, cold, and crystal clear. Over the next few weeks, I became someone else entirely. I staked out the hotel on other nights he claimed to be working late. Different men, always men, some older, some younger. All of them not me, not even close.
He was cheating on me, repeatedly, casually, with men.
And I realized something even more devastating. This wasn't new. This had been happening before we even said, I do. I dug through old receipts, texts I'd dismissed, strange work trips that suddenly made a lot more sense. I began building a timeline, a history I never knew was mine, and yet I didn't feel rage. What I felt was strategy. I wasn't going to storm into our kitchen and throw the credit card bill in his face. I wasn't going to slap him or pack my bags. I had kids, I had a life. And now I had information. That was more powerful than any confrontation. So I played my part. I kept folding laundry, kept planning birthday parties, kept smiling. But inside, I was archiving everything, every slip, every lie, every hotel check-in. Because one thing became clear to me, he was never going to stop. And if he wasn't going to stop, I wasn't going to forgive, I was going to wait. Because I knew, with every fiber of my being, that he had no idea what I knew. And that meant I had control. People say when you find out your partner's cheating, you either fight or flee. But what if you do neither? What if you stay and watch? That's exactly what I did. After the hotel stackouts, after the credit card bill, after the shock settled into my bones like ice, I didn't pack a bag. I didn't call a lawyer. I didn't scream. I looked in the mirror and asked myself a simple question. What do I want? The answer wasn't revenge. Not yet. It was clarity, power. I'd grown up in chaos, a house where love was loud and pain was louder. Yelling, crying, throwing things, that was my childhood. I swore I'd never live like that again. And I didn't. This time I was going to do it differently. I made 3 key decisions. First, I was going to protect myself physically. That meant getting tested, quietly, no confrontation, no accusations. Just an appointment at the clinic, a fake smile, and a routine STD panel. When the results came back clean, I breathed a little easier. Then I took the next step. I told him I wanted to use condoms. Claimed the pill was messing with my hormones. He agreed without question, probably relieved I didn't suspect a thing. Second, I wasn't going to leave, not yet. I wasn't financially dependent, but I wasn't fully independent either. I had no degree. No resume worth bragging about. Leaving meant court battles, shared custody, and giving up the life I'd spent 20 years building. And why should I be the one to lose everything because he couldn't tell the truth? Third and most important, I was going to make sure he never felt peace again. Ever. I wasn't. He going to scream or break dishes or blow up his life in one dramatic moment? That's messy. That's loud. No, I wanted him to unravel slowly. I wanted guilt to eat at him like termites in the walls, silent, invisible, but relentless. So I got to work. I started planning surprise date nights. I told him I missed our spark, wanted to feel closer. I showered him with affection in public, posted sweet tributes online, bragged about my perfect husband to anyone who would listen, especially when I knew he could hear me. At home, I peppered conversations with carefully chosen stories. Gossip about a local man who came out after 20 years of marriage. A viral video about a closeted husband exposed by his Grindr profile. Praise for the only openly gay couple we knew, how brave they were to live their truth. I watched his face every time. Watched the color drain, the jaw tighten, the eyes flicker. I could almost see the guilt blooming in his chest. And the best part? I made myself the perfect wife in the process. I gave him no reason to be suspicious, no reason to feel attacked. Just endless love and subtle, slow drip reminders of what he was hiding. He started buying me flowers weekly, out of nowhere. Designer handbags showed up in my closet, expensive dinners, spa weekends. My birthday became a production jewelry, a surprise trip, handwritten letters. The guilt was making him generous. But it was also making him restless. And that's when I knew I had him. Hooked, tangled, and completely unaware that I was pulling the strings. Meanwhile, I was building my own future. Quietly, I started a small business, nothing flashy. Just something I could grow on my own. It picked up faster than I expected. Within 2 years, I was earning enough to support myself and the kids without his help. That changed everything, because now, I didn't need him. And when you don't need someone, you're no longer their hostage. I had options. I had freedom. I had time. So I waited. Every year, every lie, every late-night hotel visit, it all went into the vault. I backed up emails, took photos of receipts, screenshotted messages. I even tracked his GPS when I needed to. And I never once let it show. He thought he was safe.
He thought I was clueless, but I wasn't. I was watching.
And when the time came, when he finally pushed too far, I wouldn't just confront him. I'd erase him, not out of rage. Not because I was heartbroken, but because I could. And because he deserved it. Guilt is a funny thing. It doesn't scream. It doesn't punch a wall or slam a door. It whispers, it festers. It grows in the silence between two people who both know something but only one can admit it. And I made sure my husband drowned in it. It started subtle. I leaned into the role of doting wife so hard it was almost theatrical. Morning texts with heart emojis. Surprise lunches delivered to his office. Public declarations of love that made our friends groan. I was laying it on thick because the more perfect I acted, the worse he felt. Every smile of mine became a reminder of what he was doing behind my back. And he couldn't escape it. I planned romantic date nights, reservations at candlelit restaurants, weekend getaways to mountain cabins. I even booked a couples massage once and watched him twitch through the whole thing like the guilt was crawling up his spine. I'd whisper, "I love our life," just to see the flicker in his eyes. Like he was choking on the words he should have said a long time ago. Then I started planting seeds. I'd read him stories from news articles. Can you believe this poor woman found out her husband was cheating with men for years? She never saw it coming. He'd nod, stone-faced. I'd watch him squirm, then smile and say something like, "Thank God I don't have to worry about that with you." And I meant it with every ounce of sarcasm I could hide behind my teeth. At church, I made sure people knew how blessed I felt to have such a devoted, loving husband. I'd grab his hand during prayer, rest my head on his shoulder, whisper, "I'm so proud of you." And in front of his parents, I was glowing, telling them how lucky I was to have such a strong man of faith in my life. The irony was delicious. But I wasn't just targeting his emotions. I was targeting his sense of identity. I praised our only gay couple relentlessly. Not just because they were kind and brave, but because I knew he couldn't do what they did. He couldn't come out, couldn't live honestly. Every time I called them real men, I saw something break in him.
He knew I knew, but he couldn't admit it.
Because admitting it meant losing everything. Me, the kids, his job, his reputation. Our entire life. So he stayed in the prison he built. While I redecorated it to my taste, then came the gifts. Oh, the gifts. Designer handbags, jewelry I didn't ask for, a car, spa days. Flowers every Friday always with a handwritten note about how much he appreciated me. I kept every single one. Not because I loved the sentiment, but because each one was a trophy, a receipt for his guilt. It became routine. He'd sneak off to the hotel on Wednesday nights. I'd get orchids by Saturday, the best part.
He started second-guessing himself. He'd ask, "Are you happy?" out of nowhere.
Do you ever feel like I'm not giving you enough? I'd smile sweetly and say, "You're the best husband I could ever ask for." His eyes would dart away every time. I even ramped up the physical affection. More sex, more touches, more lingering kisses in the kitchen while the kids were watching TV. And while we were in bed, I could feel him retreating into himself, like being with me was starting to feel wrong. Like he was betraying his boyfriend, not his wife. Oh, the irony. And yes, I knew about the boyfriend. Not from some dramatic confrontation, but from his phone. From the texts, the pet names, the I miss yous and the I love yous. I watched that relationship bloom in secret, while pretending not to notice the perfume of betrayal hanging in the air. And when he started seeing just that one guy, I almost ended it. Almost, but then he made a mistake. He brought him home. Not for anything obvious, no affair scene, no secret kiss. Just a new friend from golfing. A casual visit. He shook my hand. Sat on our couch, complimented my art, even chatted with the kids. That was it. That was the moment I decided he wasn't going to get away clean. You can cheat in hotel rooms. You can lie to my face. But you do not bring your side piece into my house and introduce him to my children like it's a game of charades. No, that crossed a line. So I doubled down. He started hinting about moving California maybe, somewhere progressive. Said he'd been thinking about a change of pace, a fresh start. I shut it down. Told him my business was growing, the kids were thriving, and moving them would be cruel. But if you need a change, I said with a soft smile, I'll support you any way I can. Here, he hated that. Then came the fights, but not the kind you'd expect. He wanted us to fight. He wanted to create distance, to make me the bad guy, to justify walking away. So he'd poke at little things, dinner, chores, my schedule. I wouldn't bite. Every time he tried to pick a fight, I agreed. You're right. That's a good point. Let me make it up to you. And then I'd suggest dinner, or sex. Or a family movie night. He was trapped, and I knew it. His boyfriend started pushing harder too. I saw the texts. When are you leaving her? How long are you going to keep living a lie? I'm tired of waiting. He was being pulled in two directions and both felt like betrayal. So he started drinking. At first just a little, then more, then hiding bottles. His once charming presence at the dinner table grew quieter. He stared off during family movies. He forgot to sign permission slips, missed bedtime stories. He was unraveling. And I watched it happen with the same calm I used to fold his shirts. I didn't do this to destroy him, not yet. I just wanted him to feel it. To carry it with him. Every lie, every secret, every time he looked into our children's eyes and smiled through the guilt. I wanted him to pay for that. Not with screaming, not with violence, but with shame. The kind that crawls under your skin and makes a home there. The kind that doesn't go away. I could have kept playing the long game forever. Smiling, pretending, collecting tiny bits of his soul with every silent guilt trip. But then he made it personal. He brought his boyfriend into my home. At first, I didn't recognize him. Just another clean-cut guy in golf attire, shaking my hand with a practiced smile and that thin layer of southern politeness that covers everything ugly. Nice to meet you, he said. His voice was smooth, his handshake firm, and when he looked at my husband, there was something there. It wasn't just familiarity, it was intimacy. Not the kind you build over a few rounds of golf. The kind that comes from whispering into someone's ear in the dark. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just another fling, this was the one. The man who had managed to do something none of the others could. Make my husband fall in love. I watched them out of the corner of my eye the entire afternoon. The way they laughed at inside jokes, the way he kept his distance, but not too much. The way my husband's smile never quite reached his eyes when the kids were around. It was all there, every crack, every shift in the room's energy. And worst of all, my kids liked him. They thought he was funny, cool. They asked if he could come back sometime. And that was the final straw. I wasn't just a wife anymore. I was a mother. And now the lie wasn't confined to hotels and secret texts. It was in my living room. It was touching my children. This wasn't just cheating anymore. It was invasion. But instead of snapping, I did what I did best. I tightened the mask. I smiled. I said he was lovely. I made lemonade. I told the kids, wasn't he just the nicest guy? And when my husband looked at me with those wide, uncertain eyes, I leaned over and kissed his cheek. Game on. He started hinting harder at moving. Said he'd been offered a potential opportunity out of state. Somewhere more open-minded, he said carefully. I laughed it off. Honey, I've built my business from the ground up. I'm not starting over in a new town just so you can hit a reset button. The kids have friends, family, school. We're not leaving. And just like that, I slammed the door on his escape route. That's when his tactics changed. He started trying to make me the villain. Picking fights over dishes, over parenting choices, over things we never argued about before. He wanted a breakup he could blame on me, but I didn't give it to him. Every complaint was met with calm, every insult with kindness. You're right. I'll work on that. Thank you for being honest with me. How about we talk this through over dinner? Just the two of us? It was psychological waterboarding. I knew from the messages I'd read that his boyfriend was putting pressure on him daily. She's controlling you. You're miserable. She doesn't love you like I do. And now, here he was torn between a woman who refused to let him go and a man who wanted to rescue him. But neither of us was giving him peace. He was stuck. And while I never touched the subject of his sexuality directly, I made sure he knew that I knew. I'd leave little articles open on my laptop coming out stories, gay divorce statistics, custody battles. I'd ask if he wanted to go to Pride to support the community. I even mentioned once, very casually, how our neighbor's brother had finally come out after 20 years of marriage. Took guts, I said. But imagine the weight he carried all those years. My husband went silent for a full minute. Then he changed the subject. But I saw it, that flicker. That moment where the mask slipped and panic took over. I was holding a mirror up to his shame, and he couldn't look away. He started drinking more. Hiding it at first. Then not even trying. I'd find bottles tucked behind the garage tools under the bathroom sink. He'd slur his words during bedtime stories. Miss school events. The man who once remembered everything started forgetting the basics. And suddenly the boyfriend wasn't showing up anymore. Whatever future they were planning had stalled. And I knew why. He was still married to me, and he couldn't leave. Because I wouldn't let him. Not until I was ready to end it on my terms. And when he started pressuring my husband to choose, I made the decision for him. I weaponized intimacy. I started initiating sex often. Not out of desire, but because I knew how much he hated it now. Every time he touched me, it was a betrayal to the man he actually wanted, and I knew it. I could feel it in the way he flinched when I kissed his neck, the way his body froze halfway through. Once afterward, he lay there staring at the ceiling. I rolled over and whispered, "I've never felt closer to you." He didn't respond. Good. I could see the moment that realization hit. It was a Saturday morning. He'd been drinking the night before, didn't get up until 10. I was already back from a client meeting, breakfast made, laundry going, kids doing homework. I handed him coffee and said, "You've been working too hard lately." "I've got everything under control." He just stared at the cup.
He wasn't my partner anymore. He was a prisoner of his choices.
Of his secrets. Of me. And still I didn't strike. Because revenge tastes better when it's simmered. When the person you re-punishing doesn't even realize how deep they've sunk until the walls are already closing in. He stopped mentioning the boyfriend eventually. Stopped texting him back as often, but I still checked the phone. I still saw the "Are you okay?" messages, the late night confessions, the loneliness. That man loved him. And my husband? He was too buried in shame to love anyone anymore. Good. Because I wasn't finished yet. People don't break all at once. They leak. A little silence here, a forgotten promise there. A drink after work turns into a bottle before bed. Laughter fades.
Energy drains.
And one day, you realize the person in front of you isn't fighting anymore, they're drowning. That was my husband. After years of secrets and manipulation, after guilt gifts and strained smiles and desperate attempts to escape, the cracks finally became impossible to hide. It started with the alcohol. At first, it was just a glass of wine with dinner. Then it was two. Then I started finding empty bottles in the trash the night before, garbage pickup bottles I never saw him open. A whiskey bottle behind the laundry detergent. Vodka in the garage, and he wasn't hiding it well. He slurred his words during bedtime stories. Missed appointments. Once, he forgot to pick our son up from soccer practice. The coach called me worried. Embarrassed. I told him there'd been a mix-up. Then I drove home in silence, hands shaking on the wheel. He was unraveling, not because I yelled, not because I exposed him, but because he couldn't breathe under the weight of his own lies anymore. The man who used to beam at the kids' school plays now stared blankly at the stage. He used to wake up early and make us breakfast on weekends. Now he slept till noon, hungover and groggy. Photos of him with different men, dates, times, locations. It wasn't just proof of infidelity, it was a pattern. a lifestyle. A secret identity he'd hidden for years. I had it all. And I had one goal, to make sure that when he finally fell, there was no soft landing. First, I hired a lawyer, quietly, someone sharp and discreet. I laid out the full story, showed her the evidence, and explained exactly what I wanted. Full custody, no alimony. I'd keep the house, the car, my business. He could have a cut of the retirement and investments, but only enough to avoid court drama. I didn't want to fight, because he had betrayed the family image. Their words, not mine. The gossip hit the town like wildfire. Small towns don't keep secrets. They amplify them. Whispers at the grocery store. Cold shoulders at the country club. Neighbors pretending not to see him walk by. And as for the boyfriend? Gone. Once the fallout started, he bolted, packed up and left town. Probably figured it was only a matter of time before the blame spilled onto him too. Or maybe he realized my husband wasn't the brave, coming-out story he hoped for. Just a man who let fear rot everything around him. And my husband? He tried to fight for custody. Said he wanted to still be a father, but he couldn't even show up sober to the hearings. He lost every round. The court granted me full custody. He got visitation supervised at first, then limited. The judge didn't even look twice at the evidence. The best part? I never raised my voice. Not once. I told the kids that he was still their father. That him being gay wasn't a bad thing. That the only thing he did wrong was hiding it. I protected them from the truth about the cheating, shielded them from the drama. I let them keep loving him. Because that's the difference between revenge and bitterness. I didn't want to destroy my children's father in their eyes. I wanted to destroy him where it hurt, his job, his public image.
His support system, his lover, his identity.
He had to move 6 hours away just to find a job that wouldn't ask too many questions. He couldn't use his old employer as a reference. His relationship with his parents is strained, polite, but cold. And in our town, he's a ghost. A cautionary tale. And me, I'm thriving. I have the house, the car, the business. I go on vacations with my kids. I sleep peacefully. I'm no longer acting every day. And best of all, I'm free. I never told him I knew, never gave him the satisfaction of a confrontation. I let consequences do the talking. And I watched him disappear piece by piece, until there was nothing left but regret. When you burn a house down, you don't just walk away from the ashes. You stand there, coughing on the smoke, staring at the pieces, and then you start to rebuild. That's what the aftermath felt like. Not triumphant, not clean, just quiet. He moved 6 hours away, found a job that didn't care about what happened here. No benefits, no seniority, no glowing resume to back him up. It was a fresh start, but not the kind he'd wanted. He didn't leave on his own terms. He was exiled. And the man he tried to build a new life with? Gone. He lost his church, his image, his support system. His parents, once so proud, now speak to him like he's a stranger. They smile for birthdays, send cards. But there's no warmth. No. How are you really? Just distance. His relationship with the kids? Complicated. They still see him during scheduled visits. They're polite, kind even, but there's a wall now. They don't call just to chat. They don't ask him for advice. And that's not because I poised them, far from it. I told them he was still their father, that being gay wasn't a sin. That love, no matter how it looks, deserves respect. I didn't want them to hate him. I just didn't want them to follow him. And they stayed with me, in the home they grew up in. With the routines they knew, the people who loved them, and the stability I fought like hell to preserve. I never bad-mouthed him. Never weaponized their pain. I let them draw their own conclusions. They know he lied. They know he cheated. But they also know he loves them. That's what they hold on to. And me? I came out of the war stronger than I ever thought I could be. I run my business on my terms. I don't ask anyone for help to pay the bills. I take vacations with my kids, invest smart, plan for our future. I host holidays, attend school events, and sleep soundly at night. I don't flinch when the phone rings. I don't second-guess my worth. And I don't miss him. I miss the illusion, maybe the comfort of the life we built. But not the man behind it. Because once the mask flipped, I saw the truth, not just about him but about me. I am not weak. I am not naive. I am not someone you can lie to and walk away from clean. I stayed not because I was desperate, but because I was calculating, and when the time came, I didn't break down. I broke him. Was it right? I don't know. But it was necessary. People think revenge is an explosion. Something you scream into the void, fists clenched, eyes wild. But real revenge, the kind that works? It's quiet. It's precise. It leaves no blood, just consequences. And now I live with peace. Because justice sometimes is just letting someone destroy themselves. And making sure they don't have anywhere soft to land when they finally fall. People ask themselves that question after every fire they set. Was it worth it? And I won't lie to you, I've asked myself that too. Did I go too far? Maybe. Did I enjoy parts of it? Absolutely. I won't pretend I was noble. I wasn't the innocent victim who took the high road. I didn't walk away glowing with moral superiority. I stayed. I plotted. I built a slow-burning hell and watched him walk straight into it. But here's the thing, he lied to me. Not once. Not twice. For decades. He robbed me of the truth, of the chance to build something honest, something real. He used me as cover, as camouflage, while he lived a secret life. He put my health at risk. He brought his boyfriend into our home. He made my children part of his deception. So when I ask myself, was it worth it? Yeah, it was. Because he just reclaim my life, I made sure he'd never forget the cost of betraying me. But no, it didn't make me happy. Not really. Revenge isn't a victory parade, it's a reckoning. And when it's done, all you have left is the silence. The quiet knowledge that you held the power, that you made the decision, that you were the storm. I didn't win a medal. I didn't walk into the sunset, I just got free. And sometimes, that's enough. So what would you have done? Stayed silent? Walked away? Or burned it all down like she did? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read every single one. And if you love true stories where karma doesn't knock, it kicks the door and hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell.